There are so many hidden treasures in Power BI that can take your reports to the next level. And in this video, I'd like to talk about 3 such amazing capabilities of DAX and how can they improve your formulas and your reports. Needless to say that these tricks are going to have some caveats, but nonetheless, they are super useful. Now, watch the video until the end and you please let me know that which tricks did you find the most helpful. Let's start. Trick number 1. How do you go beyond the default measure formatting and then write your own custom and dynamic formats? This is going to be insanely helpful while presenting data. Take a look at this simple visual that I'm working with. So a very simple pivot table, we have year, month, and we have a measure against that, which is nothing but total sales. And you can see that this is a pretty large number. Now, let's just say that I have some capabilities built into Power BI to be able to format the number howsoever I would want it. So for instance, if I go and take a look at my data tab right here and open up my total sales measure, that's the measure, and you get a bunch of formatting options up on the top. I mean, the comma separation, the percentage, the dollar sign, all of that, and the decimal places, all of that. Now, these are the standard built-in options, but guess what? You can also write your custom dynamic formats, which can be absolutely customized and can be formula driven. That means you can write DAX to be able to decide that what appears here to get absolute control over what you show. Let me give you an example. The first thing that I'm going to do is, instead of actually picking up something from here, which is general currency decimal, things like that, I'm going to switch this over to dynamic formatting string. So once I click on that, you're going to see that we change the formula bar up on the top, and on the left hand side, it actually shows you that right now, whatever you end up writing in the formula bar is going to pertain to the format. You can switch again. If you want to change the formula, you can change that to, let's say, change the measure, and now this is the measure, and this you can change it back to the format. This formatting option only comes once you have changed the formatting to dynamic. This is where I can end up writing whatever format that I would like. This also means that this could be a formula. So for instance, I can say that, hey, for fun purposes, instead of showing the value of total sales, I want to show the value of sum. Now, this is just going to be a visual representation. This does not mean that the number here, which shows up right here, is going to change at the back. This is only going to change how it appears to you on the screen. Every single calculation is going to be happening on the underlying number. So for instance, I can just go ahead and say that, hey, I just want to concatenate an empty string at the start, and then I can just write the and symbol, and I can say that, hey, I'd like to sum the quantity column of the sales table. Close the bracket, press enter, and as soon as I do that, you're going to see that we actually start showing up the quantity value, even though at the back what we have written is nothing but the sales calculation. Now, this is obviously fun and you can trick somebody with that, but that's not the intention. If I just kind of go back and write the usual string that was written before, which is nothing but just show the value as it is, you're going to see that we have the sales. Now, the ask that I'm trying to solve is that I would like to show total sales in 1 decimal in a million format. That's ask number 1. And along with that, in case the sale has grown or not grown over the last year or fallen as compared to the last year, I want to show a red icon. So for instance, you can see that here the sale is 1.97 million and here the sale is 1.87 million. The sale has fallen. Therefore, along with the 187 number, I would like to have a little kind of a red drop down arrow as well. That's how I'd like to present the data. How do we do all of that? Now, this is just a visual presentation. It is not going to affect the actual number, which is going to stay whatever number that you can see it right here. Note that whatever code that I'm going to write, it's going to be in the format expression of the formula bar, not in the measure. I'm not trying to change the calculation, but just the way that it appears. So let's just go ahead and write some code right here. So I'm going to say that, hey, let me just concatenate an empty string at the start. This is some kind of bug that I believe you have to concatenate an empty string to make it work. Nonetheless, now I will start writing my calculation. So I'll say that, hey, the very first variable that I want to declare is the last year value, which is whatever sales happens last year. So I'm going to say that I want to calculate whatever is the selected measure. That means whatever total sales measure is there, I would want to calculate it for the last year. So same period last year, and I will just feed my calendar date inside of that. Now, if I just happen to do the return and I just say, hey, I want to take a look at the last year value, and if I just run this particular calculation, you're going to see that the current year blanks out because it's just the formatting, and you get to see the last year number presented right here. Cool. Let's just continue to write the calculation. Next, I'm going to create a variable for the current year, whatever is a selected measure. Now I'm going to start to calculate that has there been a growth or not. To be able to calculate the growth, I have written a very simple growth variable. So I'm saying that please do check that if you do have the two numbers or not. You should be having the last year number, you should be having the current year number. If both these numbers are present, then do the growth calculation, otherwise don't do anything. So if I just happen to just maybe call the growth variable, and if I just maybe go ahead and use that, you're going to see that we do get the growth right here, although the growth is not formatted as a percentage, which we will do in just a second, but we do see the growth numbers coming up right here. The next thing that I want to do is I want to have some kind of icon presented along with the growth. So if the growth happens to be negative, only then I want to show a certain icon. And UniCharacter 128315 is the red kind of down arrow that we spoke about at the start. So that is the code for that. Finally, after the return statement, I go ahead and write, hey, I want to concatenate the icon, whatever the icon is, and I just want to kind of show the sales and in the million format, which is going to be nothing but the pound sign, which is the very number, and then 2 commas means divided by 10 raised to the power of 6. 1 comma means divided by 10 raised to the power of 3, and 2 comma means a million. Simple as that. Let's just commit on this, and what we get after we kind of use this particular calculation is a visual like this, which is where I can see my sales, which is nice, and in case the sales has dropped as compared to the last year, this is a down arrow. Now, oh my god, every single value as compared to the last year has gone down, which is not a good thing. Let's just take a look at a filter. Perhaps if I maybe filter for any particular brand, it actually shows you that not all the brands have dropped. So that's a good thing, actually. Excuse me, 1 minute. May I teach you Power Query? We're doing this crazy Power Query Learning Festival in the month of May, where I'll not be doing 1, but 2 live masterclasses on Power Query from basic to advanced. I'll also be sharing frequent puzzles, exercises, and tips and tricks along the way. Now, whether you are a basic or a more advanced user, you will have an amazing experience of learning and picking up advanced Power Query skills. But where do I even send you the information about the festival? There's a link down below. Please register and I will see you in the masterclasses. My next trick is very, very interesting and it's quite dangerous as well. I'll show that to you. Now, obviously, you have seen that in our visual, we have year and the month sorted, obviously, and the sorting is based on a certain column that we have created in the calendar table. I'm sure you're aware of it, but let me just quickly reiterate that. If I happen to go ahead and take a look at my calendar table right here, you're going to see that we often create these month number columns in the calendar table primarily to be able to sort the month name column. The month name by default gets sorted in the alphabetical order. That's the problem with the month name. So we typically select this particular month, we go to the sort by column and we sort it by the month number, which happens to be this particular column right here. That's what we end up doing, and that's how we get the correct order for the month. But is there a way that we may not have this particular column and still be able to sort the months in the right order? The answer is absolutely yes. Now, this trick that I'm about to show you can be done in DAX in case you're creating calendar tables using DAX formulas, or it can be created using Power Query as well. At the moment, since I'm using Power Query to create my calendar table, I'm going to take you to Power Query and show you the trick. All right, I'm inside of Power Query and this is my calendar table. This is how it looks like. Here are all the steps and here are all the 4 or 5 columns that we have. Now, what we're going to do to be able to default sort the month number in a certain order that adheres in Power BI, we're going to start creating some empty characters that don't appear on the screen, but they are there, invisible to your eye. The idea is something like this, that if we have 12 months of data, so we have, let's say, Jan all the way through December, then against the month of Jan, I'm going to create 11 empty characters that are not going to be visible. Then against the month of Feb, I'm going to create 10 empty characters, so on and so forth. And against December, I will create 0 empty characters. Now, what is the code to create empty characters? That is 8203. That is the UniCharacter code. And all that I would want to do is concatenate this particular character, which comes from 8203, along with the month of January right at the start, although you'll not be able to see it, but the effect of that, you will see that in Power BI. Let's just see how that is done. So I'm going to go over to the month column, which is right here, and I'm going to open up the gearbox or the formula editor for that. And this is where I can take a look at the code that is generating this particular column. Nice. Now, before this particular thing, I want to concatenate some character, and I can use the formula character.fromNumber. And the thing that I would use is 8203, the code that I will use. And this is going to produce that empty string that I spoke about. And I will concatenate that. Now, how do I ensure that this particular empty string does not come once, but comes as per as many times the number of months or the count of months there is? So in case we have Jan, it comes, let's say, 11 times. In case it's December, it comes 0 times. So all that I will do is I will find the month number and subtract the repetition of this character. So I'll say, hey, this is the string that I would like to repeat. So text.repeat. And I'll say that how many times would I like to repeat it? So the next input for text.repeat is how many times would you like to repeat it? So I'd like to say that I would like to repeat it 12 minus the month number of this particular date. So date.month month, which is nothing but the date column right here, close the bracket, and this is the number of times that I would like to repeat that character. Now, let's just go through the formula real quick. So I'm saying that if the month is, let's say, January, and the month number is 1, then 12 minus 1 is going to give me 11, and hence this particular character is going to be repeated 11 times. If the month number happens to be February, then 12 minus 2 is going to give me 10, and this particular character is then going to be repeated 10 times. So on and so forth, and that is going to be concatenated along with the month name, which is the 3-letter abbreviated format that we have. That is literally it. Once I click on OK, you see nothing, like literally nothing happens to the entire column and it remains just the same. But because there is an empty string, it is going to sort it in a particular order. And now I can just go ahead and remove this particular column. We don't need this column. So I can just get rid of that month number column, delete from here. And in the change type, that is going to error out because we have month number. So I can just maybe remove that particular step, press enter, and we just have the 4 columns loaded right here. I'm going to click on close and apply. And obviously you can see that the month number column inside of my date table is gone. Now, as you would expect, that now the sorting is going to be distorted because we don't really have the month numbers, and this should be appearing in the alphabetical order and not this particular order. So let's just go take a look. The month number still appears absolutely fine because you have this empty strings coming up at the start. Now, this is actually quite a dangerous thing to do, although you know as a developer that you have done something crazy like this in your model. But if somebody happens to write, let's say, a calculate function, let me just demonstrate that to you. So if somebody happens to write the calculate function and they say, hey, I want to calculate total sales, and where, let's say they say that, hey, where the calendar, the month equals to the month of January. For some weird reason, they write a code something like this. This particular code is not going to be running because you haven't included those empty characters at the start, and this is not going to give you any particular answer. So use it sparingly where you believe that nobody will have an explicit filter created against the values here. If you do believe that is going to be an option, then you might as well do some other trick, tell the user about it, but just be aware of that. Now, this particular trick also improves the formulas that we end up writing for finding the percentage total. So for example, I want to be able to find that what is 27 million as compared to the total right here. So I want to do 27 divided by 755. That is going to give me the monthly mix, for which I have already written a formula, which is my monthly mix formula. And I'm saying that, hey, what is my year total? So take my total sales, remove the filter from the month, which is this column, and also remove the filter from the calendar month. I am sure you already know to do that, because if you're sorting one column by the other, then in that scenario, you need to include both the columns in the remove filter or the all function. But now since we have removed this particular column, it gives me an error. Even if you happen to remove this particular thing, we're not sorting by any particular column. We just remove the filter from the month column, and that is pretty much it. The formula works, and it works beautifully. All right. So you can see that the monthly mix is calculated just all right. So no more additional column referencing while you're removing filters from the sorted column. But please be aware, there is a bit of a caveat to this trick. My next trick is finding the max values by different aggregations. You'll see that it's very, very interesting. So I'm working with a very simple visual right here, slightly different from the previous one, which is where we have the year, we have the quarter, and then we have total sales against that. Now, what I'd like to be able to know is that what was the max selling date in this particular quarter? So if the entire sales was 617 million, one single day was how much? That is what I'm trying to know. So what I can do is I can write a calculation something like this, where I'm saying max date sales equals to, and that's my measure, and I'm going to say something like MAXX. It asks me for a table. Now note that the table that I end up writing in the first part of the formula is actually going to decide the granularity at which the calculation is going to be running. So for instance, if I happen to write the calendar table right here, this simply means that go in every single row of the calendar table where one row is equals to one date. So for the first date, for the second date, for the third date, for the fourth date, so on and so forth, it is going to calculate total sales, and whatever is the total sales, whichever is the maximum, it is going to pick that up and return that as an answer to the MAXX function. So if I happen to write something like total sales, close the bracket and press enter, and if I drag the formula off to my visual, this is the maximum sales on any particular single date in that particular quarter right here. And that's interesting. If you just happen to tweak the formula a little bit, which is where you end up writing, hey, I don't really want to take a look at the sales by the date. I want to take a look at by the SKU or the products table. So you can just go ahead and reference the products table. The very same formula is now showing you not the maximum sales on a certain date, but the maximum sales of a certain product. And that is the sales of one product which was the maximum in Q1 in 2007. You can move around the different granularities of the tables in your models by just putting them in an iterator function, and it works beautifully. Now, one question that you might have is that I can get the sales of the product. So let's just call this as max sales, not max sales date. You can see that I can certainly get the sales of the product, but what about the name of the product? And for that, you'll have to watch this video. Cheers.